The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage. Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause, and maybe Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Renato had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Renato looked around the empty village. How had he ever imagined Lapino was anything but a traitor? Any honest rabbit would have fled with the villagers. were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger.
We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato's best friend in... The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Would he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Everybody who wants to die, raise your weapon.
All right. This was the nice part of town, but the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests. How could you convince a firewall you're its friend? was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously, it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. There must be some way to play on that, Renato thought. Hey, can you tell if someone's far away, or just really small? So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino. Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Renato knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But was timing right for that? I know how you feel about me, baby. I know you want to be with me, Renato said. What? The Emperor's evil, babe. I'm nice. Remember how nice I was back in school? You were an idiot in school. You said I was funny, said Renato, starting not to like how the conversation was going. The Emperor pulled me out of an alley. Don't tell me he's evil. Yeah, but did you ever wonder why? No, I didn't. Why don't you ask him? Well, because I know why. He wants to sacrifice you. You can tell him that when he interrogates you. Can't we just start this over? But Zenobia shut him in the hold of the ship. He had no one to explain anything to until he was brought to the Emperor's interrogators. After that, it was just screaming. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. The city was burning, and there was no one to put out the fires. If somehow Zenobia survived her father and inherited his crown, what sort of empire would she be heir to? But he couldn't think about that, could he? Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. Then there must be some way to play it out, Renato thought. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino.
Ya está, ya creo.
Ahora amor si se escucha. Voy a hablar con mi yo del pasado. El futuro, perdón.
O sea que estuvimos hablando al pedo, ¿verdad?
En teoría, sí.
Dejen su Pac-Man para registrarse, por favor. Si no son fake.
Ahora sí se escucha. Lama, saludate ya. La lama. La lama. Eres el mejor youtuber. No es un chico muy normal, pero se esfuerza para hacernos disfrutar.
Y sigue.
Ahora con el Nemo. Para todos mis seguidores le dedico esto.
Para los pibes chorros que están escuchando, ¿no? Que también están escuchando este gameplay en directo, exclusivo, que ningún otro youtuber en su vida hizo. Road to Platino de Stories Battle Destiny.
Te está tardando.
Renato slinks through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where he goes? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up at her bed.
Eso es para todos mis seguidores. Pongan su palma.
How sleek.
Ñamo,
Soft.
¿Qué pasó,
He
mamá?
tapped her on the shoulder.
vos
with his
quería ver de
sword.
qué video en esos
She became
gemidos, ¿verdad?
spook, and he noticed he had
Ahora-
a blade
ahora
in
ya
his
me-
throat.
Y si había sido te pero si vos ves ese video entonces está viendo gemidos. O sea, te
Really
jodieron.
think you could capture me?
En teoría sí.
Zenobia said as a ship. No, I just wanted some privacy.
Bueno, por las dudas en la
Renato said
transmisión se escucha su
Renato
discusión.
knew she
Puse
still
que se
had
comparte
feelings
todo
for
el
him.
audio de todo.
Maybe he could just cut to the chase.
No, pero eso depende de nosotros,
Tiny,
si nosotros
right,
ponemos en que no, en ese, viste, eso permitir siempre. Si nosotros cambiamos en otra configuración no se va a
Did you
escuchar.
ever wonder why the Emperor
Pero eso me
adopted you?
escuchaba a mí en la tele.
Sí.
Ah. Mi tele dan 1.
Ah, sí, porque ven uno lo. O sea, no muy bueno.
Sí, no, porque yo no escucho nada. Porque Edu
Ah.
llegó para no molestarle en la tele.
¿Edu llegó?
¿Qué hora es?
Edu salió.
The scientists
Las
at the
2:29.
observatory
Ya, termino esto y vamos a dormir, bro.
Sí, terminá ya esta historia, bro.
Rápido termina.
Sí,
Sí,
capítulo 3.
este capítulo 3.
Y el 3 el último.
Bien,
No, dos más quedan, pero
bien,
depende de la
puta
velocidad de la lama. Y no se muere.
No, ¿qué
Vamos a ver, depende de tan rápido. Si termina desde antes de 35 me quedo.
Oh, me dio ropeo.
No voy a hacer nada, no. A mí me escribió a mí.
Yo no.
Edu, a ver si hoy ya está viendo tu directo.
Pático que va a hacer. Che, Edu, si vos todavía no te directo, nosotros estamos con Isaac en su casa.
Ah, no. Me sale otra vez lo de copyright. Pobrecito. Quiere decir que terminar de ver video de FIFA y terminar de ver History. Así de rápido yo soy. Yo no cambio, no, yo compito ni nada. FIFA, History.
Ay, con esta gran variedad. Y Minecraft.
Nadie más.
Y Minecraft, por siempre Minecraft, man.
Minecraft, por favor. No se olviden de comprar el buen Minecraft, el modo History.
She caught up with him.
Es un juego tan bueno, recomendado al 1000%. ¿Dónde van a
El
encontrar
partner.
un juego tan bueno como Minecraft? Y
Story
siguen
mode.
a mi querido amigo Marcos. Él les trata bien a sus seguidores. Arroba
Alex el
Marcos
ñomo.
P. O pueden buscar también con el ñomo 100% para
Tipo,
Comenten en los comentarios, puse dos
comentarios,
puntos.
caso
Ese es mi
pago.
canal.
Emperor's dark
Su-
ritual.
suscríbanse ya, carajo. Puta.
They were neutral in
Gratis,
the civil
nivel.
war engulfing the Empire.
te casi dentro.
But they
Tanto
could see
tiempo
that the
estamos
dark
viendo la
magics the old
transmisión,
toad
mi
had
transmisión.
loosened were changing the world.
Unite pues.
De la Lamo.
Monty and
Bueno,
Zenobia
uno estaba viendo.
putting them in danger.
Tengo personas no identificadas.
The rebellion had started after atrocities the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He'd slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens
Sí, me
and
dicen por eso,
puppies
pero...
to tell him what the Emperor had done to them. If he was a weapons engineer, Renato would make the cannonballs go
No puedo
much
yo ver los
faster.
comentarios y estoy jugando.
Fire randomly.
Y tengo que terminar antes de 35 para que se queda mirando.
Tiene 3 minutos. La verdad que no sé por qué tarda tanto la. Es que fuera vos, la Lama agarra los cofres, yo no agarro ninguno.
No, ese cofre fue sin querer.
Ahí está, te subías y ya te va.
Ah, pero una cosa es... Yo ahora creo que terminé la historia esta, pero... a usted le llega tarde la transmisión. Sí, ahora terminé la historia.
No llega.
Sí, acá termina la historia.
The
Lo voy a terminar.
observatory was a
O sea, este
burning
capítulo.
hulk. Dead scientists
¿Dónde
and black
sí?
feathers everywhere. The Ravens
Lama,
had
vos en
prepared
este
to burn
punto
the reality
elegiste
witness
confiar
to
o no.
cinders.
O sea, ¿cuál te aparece
Zenobia
nuevo?
stared
La opción de
around,
confiar o
taken
no
to
en
counsel.
en
She
Zenobia.
said, shaken. I have
Voy a...
things to tell them. It was what
Caseta.
Bernardo had gambled
Acá me
on.
salió...
The
Ah,
Zenobia
bueno,
would
jugás?
turn against her father once she
era
knew
lo que
his
había apostado
madness.
Reinaldo, si no había
¿Qué
se
jugás?
revelaría.
The rebel base was secret.
No, uno es aceptar y llevar la cosa.
Risk taking
Me
the
sale-
Emperor's
No importa cuál
No,
elija.
historia,
even
Si elegí nomás que tenga signo de exclamación y ya desbloqueado la
Sí,
historia.
esa es la admiración.
El de abajo tenés que elegir.
Filipino by
Sí,
far
ese-
El de abajo.
Ya la hice saltar. Ya te digo, yo hago nomás y después cuando necesite voy a ver cuáles son específicamente. Hola, Casi. Hola, Casi. Te vas a quedar despierto hasta la no sé qué hora. Casi. Casi. Te vas a quedar despierto hasta tarde. Nosotros terminamos este ya.
As they touched the ground, you could smell the raven
Ah,
and hear their
dormir,
hungry. Can you guys actually tell each other apart? Because I'm thinking name tags.
Medio hipo. Yo. Acabo de decir medio hipo.
If Zenobia had really turned, the war could soon be over. She
Tiene que
could send
tener,
orders to the
no
fleet
puedo
that
tener
would
hipo.
leave their defenses wide open.
No.
The rebels could sail right in and capture the Emperor. Victory. Not too many casualties.
Disculpen, perdón por el retraso.
They caught their breath under a ruined arch. It's beautiful. And this was the library of Ruba.
¿Por qué se ríen de mí?
Your father's ravens thought they had an ancient book.
Buen hipo.
She nodded.
Güey, puta. Dejen de reírse.
Imposible.
¿Qué hijos de ríen?
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
No entiendo de qué se ríen. Bueno, ya para mí. En serio, me están riendo.
Council toads swarmed around Zenobia, shocked she was there, shocked she had changed sides. Then the walls exploded. He heard toads croaking,
Los
"Oh,
tres
the
se están riendo.
Ravens!" Blackbirds were pouring through holes everywhere.
Yo sí.
It's a trap!
Mucho.
Pesado, te da risa.
In the confusion, he saw flashes of magic. Then Zenobia being hustled off by Imperial troops. So, she had betrayed him after all. Renato ran for his ship. The Farfarer flew into the clouds, barely losing the Imperial ravens pursuing him. The rebellion was lost, and he had lost it. There was nothing to do but find Zenobia and make her pay for her treachery.
¿Qué?
His heart ached. He still loved
Falta
her,
falta un capítulo nomás.
but he had trusted her.
Espera,
and he
que
had been
termine.
a fool.
Ya pilló, yo tengo
She
sueño.
would be back at the
Un
fleet,
Qué
capítulo.
mentira, yo
floating with her
también.
mad,
también tengo
bloodthirsty
sueño.
father. For all
La puta que
Renato
no puedo saltar
knew,
esta
she
mierda.
was helping him bring back
Voy
the
a pegar.
old lost gods back from their exile.
Gracias.
Vamos a dormir todos juntos.
Ah,
O no duerme nadie.
Lloré todo la risa.
Ah,
Ay. El hipócrita.
no pongo de mi parte.
Renato landed in the middle of the Imperial fleet. The rebels were losing badly. Without leadership, it was a slaughter. Renato felt strangely free. Trying not to think about how he
Pero
had
no se dice yo, también se me cae.
Trying to think about how he had loved Zenobia, blinded himself to her treachery. That's what it meant to be a hero. To keep on fighting after the most bitter of betrayals. You never know if you could trust
Llegó la
anyone.
verdad que. ¿Cómo es? No he muerto.
Waste of fur. Renato hoped his fort had been inspected.
A Miguel le tengo que matar en medio. El buen book.
Inválido.
No puedo evitar ahora. Para mí suena como un tipo normal,
Ay, no, ya no lo puedo fallar.
lo hago con propósito. Ahí parece que ya paró. Sí, ya paró.
What had happened to Lepido? Had the mad rabbit fled to safety? Or was he forlornly carrying on like the few rebels Renato could see here or
Me
there?
duele vivir.
It didn't matter anymore.
No sé, va a ser
All there
mucho
was slash and spin, parry and lunge, over and over as he fought his way across the fleet. All there was finding the girl he'd once slugged,
Sí, parece que
who
ya
had
mató
used
ahora,
his love
sí,
against him
ya.
and putting as big a hole in her heart as she'd left in his.
Sin fallo, a ver si viene una hora que mucho. Ya sabía.
Y no estoy diciendo más, así que supongo que hay otras probabilidades que no haya ni siquiera teniendo hipo. ¿Por qué me siguen?
No, Daco, yo me voy porque otra vez.
Todo mal.
¿Qué?
Sorry. Ah, yo
Yo
me
no-
estoy
yo
meando
hace rato-
todo ya. Yo y todo estoy lagrimando. Me va a llegar risa el video.
El hipo fue el protagonista del directo.
Ah,
Me imagino, ahí de repente ahí te sale una 5 y yo.
me sale un montón de
Sin fallo, voy todo ahora.
yo y todo el video.
Fortunately, Zenobia was there, advancing a Lapino. So the mad rabbit had survived. Save me, or I'm done for! Screamed Lapino. Zenobia turned, showing her teeth in a smile. You're alive! Renato ran towards the witch. Lapino's the one who betrayed you! She shouted. He warned my father! Before he could think, Renato sank his sword into the sorceress.
Ahí está. ¿Cómo le
She
mata?
stared at him.
Hasta ahí les dejo y ahora... Ah, no, no puedo saltar.
No!
Puta madre.
Lapino's the
Pero
traitor!
vean mis...
Renato had an awful, sinking feeling in his stomach. Then
Reinardo
he felt
mató
a
a la
knife
bruja.
in his back. I'm
El
afraid
latino
she's
mató a
right,
Reinardo.
said the mad rabbit. Ain't I a stinker? Then the sun went out.
O sea, el protagonista
Damn it.
muere, boludo. ¿Qué onda, veo? Vamos a ver cuál fue.
En varios finales morí, boludo.
Un clásico. Eso es todo, amigos. Bueno, hasta aquí llegó la transmisión. 2.b. Nos despedimos de mi casa y un saludo a todos. Y un hipo. No me sale más, así que. Fingido, pero.
Hablamos mañana.
Hablamos. Chau, chau. Buenas noches.
Hablamos.
Chao, chao, buenas noches.